Hello, I'm Virgil Dupra from Hardcoded Software, and this is an overall presentation of moneyGuru's features. So what we see is what you initially get when you open a moneyGuru document, and this document is currently the example document shipped with moneyGuru. Here we've got buttons that control the active view, and we can see that now it's the net worth view that is active. And here we've got the balance sheet, which shows balance information for assets and liabilities. And then right here we've got the pie charts, which shows relative weight of each account. And below all this is the net worth over time graph, which shows net worth progression over the whole date range. And then there's the date range control at the bottom of the window. It controls the scope of everything in moneyGuru, so it's a quite important part of the application. As you can see, we are currently on the January 2009 date range, so what it means is that the balance in the end column is the balance at the end of the month, and the balance in the start column is the balance at the start of the month. It's very easy to just move around date range. You can use those arrows right there. Or if you want to make the date range larger, you can just use the mill button and choose whatever you want. So let's just choose the running year. Now that today is a part of the current date range, we can see another interesting feature, which is that thin red line and that gray area. The thin red line is today, and the gray area is the future. Now let's take a look at the profit and loss view. So, as you can see, the layout of this view is similar to the net worth's layout. So there's a sheet showing income and expense accounts, cash flow for current date range and last date range. And like in the net worth view, there are the pie charts showing relative weight of the income and expenses account. And below, the profit over time graph, which also has this gray area representing scheduled transaction and budget. Notice the little gray area under the red line. What it means is that, okay, so far in February you've got about $1,000 of profit, but according to your budgets and scheduled transaction, you'll actually have a little less. Alright, now let's take a look at the transactions view. The transactions view shows a list of all the transactions in the current date range. From there you can add, remove, and edit transaction. For example, I'll just add a transaction right now, set the date, and then just set some description. See the nice auto completion. So here I've got a new transaction. I can also remove it, and I can also use the undo feature to undo whatever change I make. You probably notice the little clock pictures next to some transactions. These pictures indicates that the transaction is a scheduled transaction. The nice thing about scheduled transaction in moneyGuru is that it behaves like a normal transaction, which means that you can edit it the same way you edit another transaction. So let's just change the description here. And then you see that I get a dialog asking me for the scope of my change. So I can either make an exception out of this change or make it the new rule. So let's just change all future occurrences. The scoping rules also affect scheduled transaction deletion. So for example, if I decide to delete some random scheduled transaction, I just go ahead and I get the scope dialog. So it's the same thing, so I can either delete this occurrence or all future occurrences. And finally, let's take a look at the account view. To get to the account view, you have to first select an account to view. So I'll go back to the net worth view so I can select the checking account. So to get to the account view, I just have to click on that little arrow next to the account name. As you can see, this view is kind of similar to the transactions view, and the reason for this is that it shows the same data, which means it shows the transactions from the transactions view, but from the point of view of the checking account. What it means is that the only transactions listed here are the transactions affecting the checking account, and the columns are a little different. There's the transfer column instead of the from and to column from the transactions view. So to show you how the transactions are the same, let's look at this transactions here, the ATM withdrawal. So it has a transfer to cash in an amount of 300. And in the transactions view, we see that it's the exact same thing, except from the from and to columns that replace the transfer column. Other than that, it's more or less the same thing. One thing that the account view has over the transactions view is a balance over time graph that is similar to the one in the net worth view. If I decide to select an income or expense account, you'll see that this graph below changes to a cash flow graph. But other than that, it behaves the same way. Well, this concludes the screencast, which was meant to be an overall presentation of moneyGuru's features. If you're interested in knowing more about specific features, be sure to visit the screencast section on www.hardcoded.net. See you around!